The stars burned silently above a broken earth, their cold light glinting off the fractured remains of humanity's cities. Smoke still drifted where skyscrapers once reached the heavens. The Galactic Armies had come not as conquerors, but as executioners, ruthless, mechanical, and efficient. They had reduced entire continents to ash, convinced that humanity, fragile and divided, would never rise again. But they miscalculated one thing. Human defiance was carved deeper than fear. In the heart of what was once Europe, beneath the ruins of a collapsed citadel, a single survivor watched the night sky with unyielding eyes. His name was Cale Mercer, a soldier without a uniform, a ghost of the earth that once was. Once, he had fought for his country. Now he fought for a planet that barely breathed. His rifle, battered and scarred, rested against his chest like an old companion. Each star he saw was a reminder of those who were gone, his wife, his comrades, the billions turned to dust. But even in that silence, there was a pulse of rage that refused to die. The Galactic Armies, led by the High Warlord Zevrax, believed humanity's annihilation was complete. Their ships patrolled the orbit, their drones scoured the ruins. But pockets of resistance still flickered beneath the rubble. Signals whispered across static frequencies, rebels who refused surrender. They spoke of Cale Mercer like a ghost story, the last soldier who fought even when the sky fell. Some said he had taken down an entire alien battalion alone. Others swore he had infiltrated their orbital stations. The truth was simpler and darker. Cale had lost everything, and when a man loses everything, fear loses its grip. Tonight, Cale waited. His heartbeat matched the rhythmic hum of a nearby transmitter he had salvaged from an old resistance hub. Through it, static and coded signals pulsed, a message intercepted from a galactic network. The translation was rough but clear enough. The King of the Dominion will arrive at the Soul Gate for final cleansing. Cale's hands trembled, not from fear, but from purpose. The King, the architect of genocide, the voice that declared Earth's extinction, was coming here. For years, Cale had wandered, haunted by the thought that revenge was meaningless. But this message reignited something fierce inside him. If humanity was to die, he would make sure its last act was one of vengeance. He stepped outside the ruins, his boots sinking into dust where flowers once bloomed. The wind carried the echo of the past. Children's laughter, the hum of engines, the heartbeat of civilization. Gone. All gone. His gaze turned to the horizon where a faint glow shimmered in the sky. The Soul Gate, a fracture of energy created by alien technology to bridge worlds. It was their passage, their dominion's lifeline. And soon, it would be the place where humanity's ghost would strike back. Cale's mind replayed memories as he prepared his worn-out gear. His wife, Lyra, standing at the balcony the day before the invasion, her voice soft as she said, "Promise me, no matter what happens, don't stop fighting." He had broken that promise once when he buried her beneath the rubble of their home. Now he would keep it. His vengeance wasn't for hatred. It was for remembrance. Humanity's story wouldn't end as prey. It would end as defiance. As night deepened, Cale moved to the skeletal ruins of cities swallowed by alien architecture. Massive metallic spires pierced the clouds, humming with energy. Patrol drones swept through the streets, their crimson lights slicing through the fog. Cale moved like a shadow, silent, his breath measured. He had learned the patterns, the rhythm of their mechanical arrogance. Every movement was calculated, every step deliberate. He reached an outpost, once a human broadcast tower, now converted into a galactic relay. He placed his hand against the cracked concrete and whispered, "You'll serve Earth one more time." Inside, the walls were lined with alien conduits pulsing with violet light. Cale's eyes flicked across the foreign symbols as he inserted a stolen data core. The system reacted violently, alarms flashing. Within seconds, he uploaded coordinates, rerouted transmissions, and sent a false signal, a decoy distress beacon calling all nearby galactic ships to the far side of the ruins. He needed the Soul Gate unguarded. Every second mattered. The alarm's red hue washed over his face, illuminating eyes that carried both grief and fury. He escaped through shattered tunnels as explosions echoed behind him. The aliens would come, searching for the phantom who had breached their systems. But Cale was already gone, disappearing into the wasteland, heading toward the gate. The night air grew colder as the faint hum of alien engines rippled above. His muscles ached, his lungs burned, but he pressed on. The thought of the king's arrival pushed him forward. Somewhere deep in the shadows of his mind, a voice whispered, the voice of humanity itself. They thought we were weak. Let's remind them who we are. He reached a vantage point overlooking the Soul Gate. The colossal ring shimmered with swirling energy, stretching miles into the sky. Around it hovered enormous ships, their black hulls reflecting the firelight of distant stars. Kale crouched, watching as a larger vessel descended. A ship unlike any he had seen, adorned with golden insignias. That was it, the royal flagship. Inside it, the being who had burned his world. Kale gripped his weapon tighter, feeling its cold weight. He didn't know if he'd survive the night, but survival had never been the goal. Humanity's vengeance wasn't measured in victory. It was measured in defiance. As the ship's landing thrusters illuminated the ruins, Kale took a deep breath, his voice a whisper carried by the wind. This one's for Earth. In that moment, the last soldier of humanity stepped from the shadows, eyes fixed on the enemy king. The battle for humanity's memory was about to begin. The wind howled across the desolate plains as Kale advanced toward the Soul Gate, each step echoing the weight of humanity's past. The horizon pulsed with alien light, a haunting reminder that this world no longer belonged to his kind. The massive energy ring before him shimmered with power, its swirling core casting eerie reflections over the shattered earth. He crouched behind a ridge of scorched rock, eyes locked on the royal ship resting at the center. Its blackened hull bore markings of conquest, each symbol a planet subjugated, each etching a civilization erased. And now, Earth was among them. Kale steadied his breathing, feeling the faint tremor in his gloved hands. He had faced death before, but this felt different. This was not survival. It was culmination. Years of pain, loss, and rage had brought him here. His pulse synced with the rhythm of the alien machinery that surrounded the gate. He watched as the ship's ramp extended, revealing towering figures clad in silver armor that shimmered like liquid metal. The galactic soldiers moved with mechanical precision, scanning the terrain with energy weapons that hummed faintly in the air. Behind them descended a taller figure, draped in obsidian robes. Zevrax, the king of the Dominion, and the architect of humanity's fall. Kale's jaw tightened. From this distance, he could see the creature's visage, elongated features, eyes glowing with cold intelligence, and a crown formed from the same black alloy that framed the ship's wings. The king moved slowly, surveying the ruins like a god inspecting his broken creation. His voice, amplified through alien frequencies, rippled across the plains. The last resistance signal has been purged. The species is extinct. The words echoed like a verdict upon the wind. Kale's fingers twitched over the rifle's trigger, fury boiling beneath his calm surface. But this wasn't the moment to strike. He had one shot, not for vengeance, but for meaning. Every human that had ever lived would either be remembered through his act or forgotten entirely. He inhaled deeply and began to crawl along the ridge, his eyes scanning for weaknesses in their formation. The Royal Guard had formed a circular perimeter, their energy shields pulsating in coordinated intervals. To get through, he'd need timing and silence. The technology he carried, a stolen cloaking emitter, flickered faintly at his wrist. It wouldn't last long, but long enough might be all he needed. He activated it, and the world shimmered around him, his body blurred, bending the light into invisibility. The hum of the emitter vibrated through his arm as he crept closer to the landing site. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and burning fuel. He moved between the shadows of metallic columns, each step measured and deliberate. He could hear the soldiers communicating in a language of sharp tones and static. No words, just orders. As he approached the edge of the perimeter, the cloaking field sputtered, flickering like dying flame. Kale froze. A drone turned sharply, scanning the air where he stood. Its sensors whirred. For a heartbeat, time stopped, then thunder split the sky. A bolt of lightning cracked against the ground nearby, shaking the earth. The drone's sensors glitched, momentarily blinded. Kale moved. He slipped past the line, heart pounding against his ribs, the shimmer of the cloaking field fading completely. Now inside the perimeter, he crouched behind an alien generator humming with violet energy. Just ahead, Zevrak stood beside a massive conduit feeding into the Soul Gate. The gate's core pulsed, resonating with energy that twisted the air. Kale realized what was happening. The king wasn't here to celebrate victory. He was here to ignite the gate and cleanse the planet completely. A final purge to erase even the bones of humanity. The realization hit like a blade. This wasn't just vengeance anymore. It was the last stand of an entire species. If Kale failed, Earth wouldn't just be conquered. It would be gone forever. He reached into his satchel and withdrew a compact explosive, human-made, primitive by alien standards, but devastating when placed right. He had carried it since the fall of the last resistance stronghold. A final card meant to destroy the Dominion's command post. Now it would destroy their king. He set the charge near the conduit's base, fingers trembling as he calibrated the timer. But before he could retreat, a sound sliced through the air, a sharp metallic click behind him. He turned slowly. A galactic soldier stood there, weapon raised, its faceless mask reflecting his image. For a second, the two locked in silence. Then Kale lunged. He slammed the butt of his rifle into the alien's visor, shattering the glass. The creature screeched, its blade flashing in a fluid arc Kale ducked, firing once, twice. Blue blood splattered across the alien metal. The soldier fell, but the gunfire had already drawn attention. Sirens blared. Zevrax turned sharply, his burning eyes narrowing as he saw the human silhouette amid the chaos. Impossible, his voice thundered. The species was eradicated. Kale didn't hesitate. He sprinted toward the ship, dodging plasma bolts that scorched the ground around him. His cloak was gone, his cover blown, but momentum was now his weapon. Every breath felt like fire as he vaulted over debris, firing back with precision born of desperation. One by one, the guards fell, their armor cracking under the shield behind his bullets. He was bleeding, wounded, yet unstoppable. Zevrax raised his hand, channeling a surge of energy that ripped the ground apart. The explosion threw Kale backward, his vision blurring. He coughed, tasting blood, but forced himself to his feet. The charge's timer ticked down beside the conduit. 30 seconds left. The king stepped forward, his voice cold and certain. You fight alone, human. You die alone. Kale wiped the blood from his mouth and met the alien's gaze with defiance that burned brighter than any weapon. Maybe, he said, his voice steady, but at least I die human. He pulled the detonator from his belt, thumb hovering over the trigger. Zevrax lunged forward, his energy blade glowing. The two collided in a blinding flash of light, steel and plasma clashing as the timer reached its final seconds. The world trembled beneath their fury. Then silence, followed by the low, rising hum of the charge ready to explode. Kale's eyes locked on the king one last time. For Earth, he whispered. The light engulfed them both. The explosion tore through the night like the roar of a dying god. Fire and light consumed the Soul Gate, sending shock waves across the wasteland. For a brief, blinding moment, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Then silence returned, heavy, absolute. The once gleaming alien structures lay in ruin, twisted metal glowing red from the inferno's heat. Ash drifted through the air like snow over a graveyard. In that quiet aftermath, humanity's vengeance burned brighter than any flame. From beneath the wreckage, a faint sound broke the stillness, a low, pained gasp. Kale Mercer stirred, half buried under debris, his body broken but his spirit still alive. His armor was scorched, the left side of his face marked by burns, but he was breathing. Slowly, with trembling hands, he dragged himself free, every movement carved in agony. Around him, the alien army was gone, obliterated by the force of his final stand. But not everything had died in the blast. Through the haze, a shadow moved. Zevrax emerged from the smoke, his obsidian armor fractured, his crown shattered. Blue blood dripped from the cracks along his chest, his once majestic form now hunched and staggering. Yet his eyes still burned with rage. He looked upon Kale with disbelief and fury. "You still live?" he hissed, his voice distorted by pain. Kale forced himself upright, clutching his weapon though the barrel was warped from heat. He was out of ammunition, his strength fading. but defiance still lingered in his voice. "You took my world," he rasped, "but you never took what made us human." Zevrak snarled, stepping forward, dragging his blade along the ground, sparks trailing in its wake. "Humanity was a disease," he spat. "You are a remnant of chaos, flawed, emotional, weak." Kale laughed bitterly, blood spilling from his lips. "Maybe, but we loved, we dreamed, we hoped. That's what you'll never understand. That's why we outlast even death." He raised a rifle, empty though it was, as a symbol of defiance. "You may kill me," he whispered, "but you can't kill what I am." The alien lunged, fury overwhelming pain. Kale moved instinctively, ducking beneath the strike and driving his shoulder into Zevrax's torso. Both men fell, struggling among the ruins, locked in a desperate, primal battle. Every blow was slow, heavy, fueled by what little life remained in them. Zevrax's claws sliced through Kale's side, but Kale retaliated with a shard of broken metal, plunging it deep into the alien's chest. Blue blood splattered across the scorched ground. Zevrak screamed, a sound that echoed like thunder across the hollow plains. Kale collapsed beside him, chest heaving, the strength draining from his limbs. For a long moment, neither moved. The fire around them crackled softly, painting the ruins in hues of gold and crimson. Then Zevrak spoke, voice faint but venomous. "Even if you kill me, human, it changes nothing. The Dominion is eternal. Others will come. Your kind is gone." Kale turned his head slowly, meeting the alien's dying gaze. His eyes, though clouded by pain, held an unbroken fire. "Then let them come," he murmured. "They'll find out what happens when you push a human too far." Zevrax's breath hitched once, then stopped. His eyes dimmed, the light fading from within. The king of the Dominion, conqueror of worlds, lay dead among the ashes of the planet he sought to erase. Kale closed his own eyes briefly, not in triumph but in solemn acceptance. The cost of vengeance was always loneliness. Around him, the Soul Gate's core continued to flicker, unstable but not destroyed. Its energy crackled through the air like a dying heartbeat. Kale forced himself to crawl toward it, every movement a battle. He knew what it was, a portal, a gateway between worlds. If he could reroute its collapsing energy, maybe, just maybe, he could send a final message. Not of surrender, but of remembrance. His trembling hands reached the control node, a fractured console still pulsing with alien light. He pressed his bloodied palm against it, and the system responded, flickering alive. The interface glowed faintly, displaying alien runes. Kale's voice was weak, but steady. "This is Kale Mercer, soldier of Earth. To whoever hears this, know that humanity didn't vanish quietly. We stood, we fought, and we remembered who we were." The system crackled, recording his every word, transmitting through the interstellar frequencies once used by the Dominion. He could barely hold consciousness, but his voice carried strength beyond the limits of his body. "They thought we were extinct. But even if I'm the last, I carry every soul that ever lived on this planet. Every dream, every love, every heartbeat. We are still here, in the ashes and the stars, in the fire that refuses to die." He paused, his breathing shallow, the portal's light reflecting in his eyes. "And to those who come after, never bow, never forget, and never stop fighting." The console sparked, overloading as energy surged through the system. The portal began to collapse inward, its bright core folding on itself, swallowing the surrounding debris. Kale watched it, a faint smile forming on his cracked lips. His mission was done. Humanity's story wouldn't be erased. It had been written in fire, blood, and courage. As the light grew brighter, he whispered softly, "Lyra, I kept my promise." The explosion that followed was silent in its beauty, a sphere of radiant energy blooming above the ruins. The Soul Gate imploded, sending a wave of pure light into the heavens. From orbit, the remnants of the Dominion fleet witnessed the surge and began to retreat, their sensors unable to comprehend what had occurred. All they knew was that their king had fallen, and that the world they had claimed was no longer theirs. When the light faded, only quiet remained. The winds of Earth swept across the scorched plains, carried with them a whisper, a name, a memory, a promise. The ruins glowed faintly under the rising dawn, and for the first time in years, the sky above Earth was free. Humanity's last soldier had fallen, but his legacy endured. In the silence of the cosmos, his message traveled on, an echo of courage defying eternity, a reminder that even at the end of all things, humanity still fought to the last breath.